Hello, and welcome to the Retire Stress-Free podcast number 4. Do you currently own an annuity? And have you been wondering, is it still the right solution to own? And how do I maximize what I purchased? Did you buy the annuity maybe 5, 7, 10 years ago? Maybe the advisor you purchased it from has not talked to you, called you, or updated you. If you did, let me help guide you through the options of how you might be able to refinance or upgrade your current annuity. First of all, I think the most important thing is that I'll provide you all the details of your current annuity so that you can make an educated decision. I will also provide you with all the current available options to potentially upgrade your annuity. However, a lot of times I'll come back and tell you the best option is to stay where you're at, and here's why. So when you bought that annuity 5, 7, maybe 10 years ago, interest rates were very, very low. Today, the interest rates are significantly higher. In many cases, they're 2, 3 times higher now than when you purchased it. What does that mean? It means that the caps, the spreads, the triggers, the performance features in the current environment are significantly higher than they were when you purchased that annuity 5, 7, 10 years ago. So your opportunity or your potential growth opportunity to gain on your current contract based upon where you were at the time and possibly how it's going to perform going forward is much lower. And now rates are higher, and you could potentially gain higher upside growth because you have higher participation rates, higher caps, higher triggers. Upside growth is always there for you in a fixed bucket, and it's guaranteed. But at least the potential for significant higher growth is available if market indexes go up compared to your current opportunity. Remember, these hybrid or fixed index annuities are structured so that you cannot lose money. And you can participate in the upside index of market returns, which are very appealing to retirees, especially retirees who want growth without risk. I'll give you an example. I just ran into a client last week that had a contract for 8 years, and it's a 10-year contract. So they're in the last 2 years of their contract. And the contract over that period of time only returned about 1% per year. So they put in $100,000 and that contract's now worth about $109,000. So what I do with my clients is I sit down with them, and these are the numbers that we look at, and you can find these numbers on your annual statement. What did you put in? What was the opening deposit for that contract? In most cases, it's a single deposit, but sometimes there might be multiple deposits along the way. But you'll have a number that you put into that contract. And up until this point, that's the deposit, that was the initial premium that was in the contract. The next value is the current contract value. Did the contract grow? What did it grow to? What is the current contract value, or CV? Next, you're going to want to look at the surrender value. That is, if you did decide to move this contract, are there any CDSC charges, which are deferred surrender charges that may apply to the money that if you move it because you initially engaged in a contract for a period of time and that time's not over yet, you may have what's called a declining surrender charge. And it declines during the course of the contract, and it doesn't end until the contract period is over. So if you bought a contract 10 years ago and you're currently in your 8th year, like this client was, you're going to have 2 more years of surrender charges. Now, they may be low. It may be 2% this year, 1% next year, or something like that. But you have to understand that it is, and it probably won't be on your statement. But you'll have to figure it out based upon current contract value and surrender value and determine what the difference is. I have access to a database that I can always go up and look these contracts up and determine what the exact surrender charge value is and what the declining surrender charges are remaining, and just determine exactly what's going on. I can give you a very accurate value. Also, any annuity contract can be moved to another annuity contract and avoid taxes by utilizing the 1035 exchange provision. I can also help you facilitate that so you don't run into a tax consequence. Next, you're going to want to look at if there are any benefits to this contract. Was there maybe a death benefit? And that death benefit grew over the period of time. So if you put in $100,000, that death benefit may now be worth $110,000 or $115,000 because it grew no matter what the value of the contract was. It's a guaranteed growth death benefit. So now the death benefit's higher than the contract value or even the surrender value. And if you were to move that contract, you would give up or lose that death benefit. Now, it would only be appropriate to do something like that if you no longer need the death benefit feature. For example, did your spouse pass away, or you're now divorced, or maybe you did it because you had young children and your children are grown now and out of the house. Maybe you had a mortgage then, but you don't have any more. Or maybe you have additional life insurance now that you didn't have back then. There's various reasons why you purchased it then, and you have to go back and evaluate, but now look at it different. Do I still need that death benefit? And if I don't, maybe I can get a higher opportunity to gain some returns on this contract. But again, we're going to have to look at it, and I can help you evaluate all of these. Next, I run into a lot of contracts that were purchased with income riders or income guarantees that were purchased for income. This is a great idea. And those income guarantees probably have a built-in growth feature as well. They grow 3 or 5% per year over time, no matter what the market did. So now you have an income benefit or a guaranteed withdrawal benefit that will probably be higher than the contract value and higher than the surrender value. So you have to take that into consideration. But once you have all this data, then and only then can you make an accurate determination. Does this make sense? And that's why you need to talk to somebody who's been in business for 25 years. I've seen almost all of these contracts for the last 25 years. I have a pretty good idea of how they perform, what's inside them, how they work. But also, if you're going to potentially move an annuity contract to refinance it or upgrade it, you're going to want to work with an independent advisor who has access to all annuity contracts to determine what is the best current option for you to upgrade or refinance. As I've said before, sometimes the best option is to do nothing and wait and see. Maybe wait another year till the contract surrender period is over, or 2 years. It may not be appropriate to move that contract today, but in the future, it might be. Now, one big warning, Will Robinson. If an advisor comes to you and says, oh, I have this great bonus annuity and it's going to pay you 10% or maybe more to help offset those surrender charges in your current contract, that's a big red flag, because most bonus annuities will provide the owner a bonus deposit up front added to your contract value day one. For example, you open up a contract with $100,000, there's a 10% bonus. You're going to have 10% deposited into your contract value day one. Now your contract value is $110,000. Now there's going to typically be larger and longer surrender periods. You're going to have a longer commitment time frame going with that contract. They also typically have a lower cap participation rate because you're getting that bonus up front. Now, you're gonna get potential lower returns down the road because you get the bonus, and then for the remaining period of time, you're gonna have a lower cap and a lower participation rate. The bonus in many cases do not offset the loss of potential upside return. So I'm just telling everyone, be careful. I'm not 100% against all bonus annuities, and some are actually pretty good. But I think you really must do a valid side-by-side comparison in order to evaluate whether it's worth it or not. Don't just get enamored by the bonus up front. Bottom line, You have to understand what's going on with your current annuity under the hood. I like to say an independent, accurately evaluated contract provides the best opportunity to see potentially well worth it to refinance or upgrade because the interest rates are definitely higher today. And the income benefit guarantees today are much higher and the payout rates are higher today. You know, the features and benefits that are available are more today than they were 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago. And why is that? Well, not only are interest rates higher, but as I've said in recent podcasts, there are 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day. This year, 4.5 million Americans are going to turn 65. The retirement industry has stepped up and addressed that because the number one concerns that retirees have is running out of money in retirement. So they've gotten creative, they've gotten very competitive in offering these benefits and solutions that can help retirees protect the money they cannot afford to lose and generate guaranteed retirement income they cannot outlive. Because when you have guaranteed retirement income, you have a better ability to retire stress-free. And that's what I do. Give me a call on my cell, 216-272-2333, or visit my website, www.retirestressfree.com. I will give you a free, no obligation assessment and what options you have that are available. I'll make sure you can retire stress-free.